Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
What's up? What's down? What's going on around? I'm Paolo Leasing, founder of StartupInTaiwan.com. This show is to answer your questions about starting up in Taiwan, either for business, school, or just hanging around. So leave your questions in the comments section below. Our guest for today is a regular guest, Mr. Elias Ek from Sweden, who is an author of the book How to Start a Business in Taiwan, an investor in a mobility bike called how do you call it?
Ego.
Ego Mobility, and also founder of Enspyre Marketing. Yes, there you go. That's the shirt. A marketing company in Taiwan, which has been here for quite a long time. Anyway, let's proceed with the topic for today. It's all about foreigners, investing in foreigners in Taiwan, which is a very specific and very special topic to me as a foreigner who wants to start a business in Taiwan. Welcome to the show, Elias.
Thank you.
Elias, first of all, I would like to ask the event that you're holding on June 20th. What is this event in particular? Could you give us like an overview of it?
Yeah, but so let me start by saying we have been working a lot for many years on the entrepreneur side of things. We have done the Dragon's Chamber event 6 times, and we are inviting foreign entrepreneurs or companies with at least one foreign co-founder to come to our event. And we have experienced entrepreneurs that are helping them to clarify their business plan and so on. And of course, one of the hopes with this event is that these companies will get exposure with investors or other people that can provide the entrepreneurs with what they need. It could be money, it could be connections or whatever. But over the years, I have felt like there hasn't been quite enough investors stepping up and looking at our teams. And I think one of the reasons is because we cater to the very, very early stage. Okay, right. Many of our teams are pre-revenue or maybe making a little bit of revenue. I mean, many of them have fantastic plans. I think they can really grow up and become something big, but they are very, very early stage. And usually the very early stage companies gets invested with, usually talks about the 3 F's: the friends, family, and fools. All right, well, as a foreigner here, yes, we have friends for sure, but we haven't known them very long, and our family are usually not around us, and we might not know quite enough people to kind of run into those people who are foolish enough to trust us with their money. So so even those of us who have been here for a long time might lack some of those networks. And I think that's where we're hoping that this event, which is going to be on June 20, and it's called How and Why to Become an Angel Investor, is going to be helpful. So we have invited several very, very experienced angel investors to come and speak, and they're going to talk about the legal frameworks for how to make an investment, how to evaluate if a company is worth to invest in, how to maybe value a company, things like that. And we hope that many more people will come out and because we are kind of I think a lot of people when you're gonna buy shares, there's just in a public company, whatever, it's fairly simple. I mean, there is a very specific SOP to follow. Download the app, sign up the paperwork, and so on. But investing in a brand new company with no history and so on is much, much more complicated. And if you've never done it, it might seem completely daunting. So we hope that this type of an event where we kind of show people how it could work will make more people interested, and then they can start looking for which opportunities that they think are interesting and worthy of their money.
I would be very interested in getting the answers of the other investors that you will have. I believe you have Mark Shu as one of them. My
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
my
Go ahead,
question
please.
is
Sorry.
mostly for foreigners, or at least for investors in general. At least for me, when I think of investing my money, I would always think of something, a huge amount of money that I need to put in, like 1 million NT, for example, or even, or the smallest would be 500,000. Is this the case that we should be looking at, or can we even invest something smaller?
Yeah. So I mean, this is one of those misconceptions that we want to that we kind of want to dispel, right? Because, for example, I made an investment in a company earlier this year. It was only 100,000 NT.
Okay.
Okay. And I have met plenty of companies that are saying, well, if only I could raise 500,000 NT or 1 million NT, I could take my company from here to here, so I can then prove myself, and then maybe we can raise more money or whatever. And all that money doesn't have to come from one single place, right? So I mean, you could be 5 people that all invest 100,000 NT or whatever, right? I mean, that's what usually angels do, right? They pool together smaller amounts of money and invest.
The other concern would be, how do you properly register an investment to a specific company? For example, do you have to be part of the company as an owner, or do you have an agreement outside the company that says, when all things go well as planned, this is what I should be getting from the company? Or could you elaborate on it?
Now you're getting into that nitty gritty that we will actually cover at the event, right?
Give us a hint.
But I mean, yeah. So I mean, there are several different ways to making an investment, right? I mean, I can make an investment in you. I give you, 100,000 NT, and you give me so many shares in your company, and you register me as a shareholder, right? Another way of doing it is that, let's say there is something called like a convertible note, which is kind of meaning that I'm first lending you the money. So I'm from the beginning, I'm not a shareholder, but we have an agreement that at some time in the future, I can convert that debt into shares, right? And usually you do that when you're not quite sure what the value of the company is right now. And you might say, well, I give you my money now, you grow your company a bit more, and then there will come maybe a more down the line, it will be clearer what your company is worth, or maybe you will raise money from more professional investors, and it will become clear what the value of your company is. And then my money that I gave you 6 months ago will then be converted into and so many shares.
Okay.
So
I won't go into further details because I know these will be discussed in the event in June 20th. I think that this event is also some sort of like an open invitation to anyone who is willing to invest in foreign startups. Am I correct?
Yeah. I mean, actually, it doesn't have to be in foreign startups per se. It's anybody who is interested in becoming maybe possibly want to become an angel investor, right? And like I said, and you pointed it out, like you don't need to be investing a lot of money to do this. I mean, again, there are plenty of really early stage startups that really need a little bit of money. I mean, everybody defines a little bit of money different ways. It doesn't matter if you don't have 100,000 NT. 100,000 NT is a huge amount. If you don't have $1 million, $1 million is a huge amount, right? And good ideas for a company doesn't come only to people that happens to sit on a chunk of change, right? So there are some opportunities to invest at every dollar amount, I would say.
Would it also? I'm sorry. Would it also be prudent to say that for any foreigner who is looking for investment, they should also go to your event, since you already have 3 investors in the room talking about investing in companies, either a foreigner or a Taiwanese startup? I think they should also take advantage of this event, some sort of like an elevator pitch chance for them to when they meet you.
Well, they certainly could. Now, we will have more events later. So, usually the Dragons Chamber application process starts in July, and we're planning an event then that is geared, towards the entrepreneurs. And we will have investors, dragons that we call them, up on stage, and we will kind of do an open audition to, kind of show entrepreneurs about how the thinking of investors, how they evaluate things and so on. So there will be more events for that. Now, that being said, if an entrepreneur would like to, so to speak, come into on this side of the table and listen in, I'm not going to be, the bouncer at the door, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I want to talk about, and that is, this whole concept of foreigners investing in foreigners.
Yes.
And again, I'm not in any way saying that, Taiwanese people are not invited. They are super, super invited. But, if I'm looking at immigrant communities around the world, they are quite famous for investing within their communities. And in, the saying of a rising tide raises all boats, right? By pooling money and investing in this guy, and then he makes a bit of money, and he invests in this guy and he makes a bit of money. This is famous. For example, I read this statistics that I found to be absolutely amazing, that in Houston, Texas, as many as 90% of all the independent donut shops are owned by somebody who hails from Cambodia. 90%. Right? And why is that? Well, it's because one dude moved from Cambodia in the 70s, and he learned how to make donuts, and he figured this is a good way to make money. And then some relative of his came over, and this first dude says, I'm gonna show you how to make donuts, and I'm gonna fund you so you can buy your first donut fryer or whatever. And then it grew from there. They are helping each other to buy, educate themselves, and grow. And entrepreneurship among immigrants in most countries is much higher than the native born population. That's not true in Taiwan. One of the reasons it's not true is because of the way Taiwan treats its blue collar workers, right, that are here working in the factories, that don't have an easy chance to actually become entrepreneurs. But aside from that, even if we're looking at the more privileged foreigners who are here, I would say that entrepreneurship is also not super high, and definitely not if we're looking at the number of companies that tend to grow bigger, right? That and I think that one of the reasons is, again, because it is so hard to find seed money, right? Those first few million NT maybe that you need to build out a first product and take it to market and so on. I mean, even if you're going to do, let's say, a Kickstarter to kind of get more money and show off to the customers, you have to have money to get to there.
Correct.
So and there's a lot of complaining amongst the foreign population in Taiwan, about banks that don't treat us well and so on and so on. And here we have something that we can actually control completely by ourselves, right? Most foreigners living in Taiwan are making more money than the local population, right? I mean, by law, we have to make, a certain amount of money, like minimum of twice the minimum wage, right? So wouldn't it be fantastic if those of us who do have a little bit of money would actively be investing in our own community? Correct. And if more and more foreigners would start making a bit more money and then maybe reinvest it again in other foreign residents, I think that banks and other organizations like that would start taking us more serious, because all they really care about is, can I make money?
Correct. And
right?
I think one of the avenues to do this is by being part of the Dragon's Chambers Taiwan, which is a competition for startups. And if some foreigner wants to invest in any of the startups that they watch on the show, they could actually do it through by coursing it through you, or any of or directly investing in them.
Yeah, and again, most people, would, if you want to become an angel investor, in many cases, you want to invest small amounts of money in many companies, right? Because it's hard to say which one is going to, be successful. So it's better if, I hope what we're going to see on June 20 for this event, I hope we're going to see a whole room full of people. And, I'm sure that some of them are going to say afterwards, oh my God, I will definitely not get into this. Sounds scary. I'm going to keep my money under my mattress. But I also hope that some people will say, I'm interested. And then we can work together on that. And then, you know, if you happen to have a bit of money and you can split that up and investing in a number of these companies, you have a higher chance, for one of them to make it really big, and it, you will earn back your money and then hopefully a nice profit on that.
I think the key is really to demystify what investment looks like, because number one, which you pointed out earlier, you don't need to have a huge capital to invest in a specific startup. Number two, there are certain ways you can do it legally and earning from it. And I believe that the three of you will really give a lot of insights about how to properly pick a company to invest in with some of your pointers. I would like to, one of my last questions would be, I know you've invested in three startups already in Taiwan. Could you give us a little bit of background what these companies are? I know for one is the company that I mentioned earlier, which is Kigo Mobility. So could you give us background?
So I've invested this year in three companies.
Oh, just this year.
And they are, this year. And they are three very, very different companies. So first is you mentioned Kigo, which is a company that makes electric e-bikes, so electric bicycles specifically for delivery companies.
Nice.
So I invested in that together with some friends, and then we actually raised more money from bigger angels, people that have more money than we do. So we raised $700,000 from a second set of investors. I mean, there you go. You show, you have one set of people have this much money, and then there's the next level. Then I invested in a Taiwan branch of a Singaporean company.
Nice.
Actually, I did that together with Mark Shi, our main speaker. So it's a company that provides a special type of call center software for companies. So it's a branch that an industry that I know quite a lot about. And I made a really small little investment in that, but I hope they're gonna make it big on this market.
Mm-hmm.
And then I made a investment in a company in New York, actually.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And that company is they have an overlay on top of Netflix and Disney Plus when you're watching a show. So basically, what they're trying to do, and this is big things these days, they're trying to help therapists and counselors to help their patients understand more their emotional responses to things. So they're doing that by you're watching a Netflix show and it comes to an emotional moment and you're past it, and now comes up a question and asks you questions about the scene that you just saw. And based on those, how you're answering, those questions, then the therapist can help you to understand yourself and how you are relating to things. If you're watching the end scene of Titanic and, Jack is, floating down into the abyss, and if you're sitting there smiling and saying that, wow, that was a fantastic scene,
oh no,
somebody might want to, keep an eye on you. You know what I mean? So that turns out to be three very different companies. I've invested in another company actually last year that is involved in teaching recruitment, so English teaching recruitment.
Okay.
And I have active investments in companies that do trademarks, home furnishing, a bunch of different things. And it's really interesting to be a part of all these different journeys and see how they are improving and doing things. And of course, my goal is to, as an investor, is of course to try to be not just putting in my money, but also giving my feedback and suggestions.
Okay, I think wow, that's a lot of like background and some interesting thoughts that that you provided us today. And I think one of my key the last key takeaway that I have is that by going to your event, I'll be able to not only identify companies that I could invest in, but I could also join with you when you try to raise bigger amounts of money for the companies that I would put seed money into, which is another bonus for going to your event and joining you in investing in some companies.
Yeah. So anybody out there who has a little bit of money and you are curious about maybe you would like to start investing in startups, but you don't really know how it would work. You're probably afraid to lose all your money, which you should be. But there are legal procedures and so on that are at least there to try to lower the risk. So if any of that sounds interesting, please come to our event on June 20th. And the easiest way to sign up is to go to our Facebook page and find our event there, or go to our website, which is dragonschambertaiwan.com. Let us know if you're coming.
All right, this is a physical event, right? Is there a specific location and time for this event?
Yes, so it's on June 20, and it's going to be at FutureWard Central.
Nice.
Right in the smack in the city, and it's going to be in the evening. So starts at 6:30.
All right. So I'll leave the URL link to the event page on this video description. One final word. Do you have any final words for us, Elias, before we close the show?
Just please come and explore, and tell your friends. And again, there is no pressure to invest here. It's only come and understand how it works. That's all there is.
By any chance, are you going to be recording the event so that for anyone who's viewing from abroad and wants to know about how you do it here in Taiwan?
I would like to. I don't know really how. Maybe you can teach me and we'll figure it out.
All right. So I think what we can do is we can probably attend your event, record it, and upload it on our channel. Or I know you also have your YouTube channel, so maybe you could also do that. But we'll see.
I wouldn't know how to. So if you can help, I'll be very, very grateful.
Sure, I'll be happy to help you. So that's it for the show today. For all of us, thank you again, Elias, for guesting our show, and for all our viewers. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, like this video, and share it to anyone who may need this kind of information. Until then, have a good.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.